Title: The Mysterious Mansion. Part 1. A New Beginning. It was a cold autumn morning when Adam received the letter that would change his life. A young man of 24, Adam had grown up in the bustling city, working hard at a job that paid the bills but did little to stir his imagination. One day, out of nowhere, a letter arrived from a law firm he had never heard of. The letter revealed that Adam had inherited an old mansion from a distant relative he had never known. The house, located in a small town called Ravenwood, was said to be hundreds of years old and filled with secrets that had long been forgotten. Intrigued and sensing a change in his monotonous life, Adam packed his bags and made his way to the remote town. When he arrived, Ravenwood was nothing like he had imagined. The town seemed almost frozen in time. Its cobblestone streets, the narrow alleys, and the ancient-looking buildings gave the entire place an eerie, old-world charm. Everyone seemed to know one another, and they eyed Adam with curiosity as he made his way toward the mansion, which sat at the far edge of town. The mansion was as grand as the letter had described, yet there was something unsettling about it. The large iron gate creaked as Adam pushed it open, and the towering trees in the yard seemed to whisper as the wind swept through their branches. The house itself was enormous, with tall, Gothic windows and vines creeping up the stone walls. The front door, which looked like it hadn't been used in years, groaned as Adam turned the heavy brass key. Part 2. The Discovery. The interior of the mansion was dusty and dark, but Adam could see it had once been a beautiful home. Grand chandeliers hung from the ceiling, though they were now covered in cobwebs. The furniture, though aged, still held the elegance of a bygone era. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories. As Adam explored the house, he found a study lined with ancient books, a grand ballroom, and countless rooms that seemed untouched for decades. But there was one room that caught his attention, a room at the very end of a long corridor on the second floor. The door to this room was unlike the others. It was smaller, with intricate carvings that depicted strange symbols. Adam tried to open it, but it was locked. He felt a strange pull toward this room, as though it was calling to him. Determined to find out what was inside, Adam spent the next few hours searching the mansion for a key. Just when he was about to give up, he noticed a loose floorboard in the study. Underneath it, he found an old, rusty key. Heart pounding, he returned to the mysterious door. The key fit perfectly, and with a deep breath, Adam turned it. The door creaked open to reveal a small, dimly lit room. In the center of the room stood a single piece of furniture, a large wooden chest. It was covered in dust, and Adam could tell it hadn't been opened in years. With trembling hands, he lifted the lid. Inside, he found old letters, photographs, and a leather-bound journal. As he flipped through the pages of the journal, Adam realized it belonged to his ancestor, a man named Edward Blackwood, who had lived in the mansion in the late 1800s. The journal spoke of strange occurrences in the house, of mysterious figures seen in the shadows and unexplained noises in the night. But what intrigued Adam the most was a mention of an artifact hidden somewhere in the mansion, an object of great power that had been passed down through generations. Edward had written that the artifact was dangerous and that it must never fall into the wrong hands. Part 3. The Strange Occurrences. That night, Adam couldn't sleep. His mind raced with questions about the mansion, his ancestor, and the artifact. As he lay in bed, he heard a faint noise, like footsteps, coming from the hallway. At first, he thought it was just the house settling, but the footsteps grew louder, closer. Adam sat up, his heart pounding. The footsteps stopped outside his bedroom door. He held his breath, waiting, but after a few moments, the sound faded away. The next morning, Adam tried to convince himself it was just his imagination, but as the days passed, the strange occurrences continued. He heard whispers in the halls, saw shadows moving out of the corner of his eye, and once, he even felt a cold hand brush against his arm when no one was there. Determined to uncover the truth, Adam began to dig deeper into the history of the mansion and his family. He visited the local library and found old records about the Blackwood family. It turned out that Edward Blackwood had been a collector of rare and powerful artifacts, many of which were rumored to have supernatural properties. One night, as Adam was searching the mansion for clues, he stumbled upon a hidden passageway behind a bookshelf in the study. The narrow, winding staircase led him deep into the bowels of the house, to a room that looked like a secret workshop. The walls were lined with strange symbols, and in the center of the room was a pedestal with an ornate box resting on top. Adam approached the box cautiously. As he reached out to open it, he heard a voice behind him. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Adam spun around to see an old man standing in the doorway. His face was lined with age, and his eyes were filled with both wisdom and warning. "I'm Elias," the man said. "I've been the caretaker of this mansion for decades, watching over it and making sure no one disturbs what lies within. You must leave that box alone." Part 4. The Secret Unveiled. Adam was stunned. "What's in the box?" he asked. Elias sighed and stepped closer. "It contains an ancient relic, an artifact that has been passed down through your family for generations. It holds immense power, but it also comes with a curse. Your ancestor, Edward Blackwood, tried to use its power and paid a terrible price. Since then, the mansion has been haunted by the spirits of those who sought the artifact's power and failed." Adam's mind raced. "But why didn't anyone tell me about this? Why did I inherit the mansion if it's so dangerous?" "Because you are the last of the Blackwood line," Elias said gravely. "The artifact's power must be contained, and only a member of your family can do it. That's why the mansion was passed on to you. You have a choice: leave and never look back, or stay and face the artifact's curse." Adam stood in silence, his mind torn. He had come to the mansion looking for a fresh start, but now he was faced with a decision that could change his life forever. After a long moment, Adam made his choice. Part 5. The Final Showdown. Determined to break the curse and end the strange occurrences once and for all, Adam decided to stay and face the artifact. With Elias's help, he began to prepare. The old caretaker explained that the relic's power could only be contained by someone with a pure heart and strong will. If Adam wasn't careful, the artifact could consume him, just as it had consumed others before. The night of the confrontation, a fierce storm raged outside, and the mansion seemed to come alive with whispers and shadows. Adam stood in the hidden room, the ornate box before him. Elias had warned him that once he opened it, there would be no turning back. With a deep breath, Adam opened the box. Inside was a small, glowing crystal that pulsed with an eerie light. The moment Adam touched it, the room was filled with a deafening roar, and the walls seemed to close in around him. The shadows grew darker, and the whispers turned into screams. But Adam stood his ground. He focused all his energy on the crystal, willing it to be contained. The mansion shook, the wind howled, and for a moment, it seemed like the darkness would win. But then, with one final burst of strength, Adam forced the crystal's power back into the box. The mansion fell silent. Part 6. A New Chapter. The next morning, the sun shone brightly over Ravenwood, and the mansion felt lighter, as though a great weight had been lifted. Elias told Adam that the curse had been broken, and the spirits that had haunted the mansion were finally at peace. Adam decided to stay in the mansion and restore it to its former glory. It was no longer just a house filled with secrets and shadows. It was his home. And as he stood on the front porch, looking out over the town, he felt a sense of peace and purpose he had never known before. The mystery of the Blackwood mansion had been solved, but Adam knew that his journey was just beginning. This story can be extended further by adding more interactions, building suspense with dramatic pauses, or expanding on each character's development. You can also add additional subplots or twists to further engage the audience for the full hour.